Well, he's away. Finally. First time we've talked about it on the channel. Thank God for that. But the announcement video, what a work of art. I mean, it's better than anything England have ever produced. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as you can already see in the title of the video, it's time for a Celtic transfer talk video. It's been a while. I feel like it's been a very quiet week or so in the world of transfers and speculation news. Since the last time we've done one of these, not much has creeped up, not much has happened, but today the media getting a little bit out there, something to talk about, just this. I mean, this morning I woke up, I thought to myself, I'm not going to get a video today. And then this creeped up, so that was nice. This has gave me an excuse to make a video. And of course, the Celtic transfer talks are your favourite videos, so if you do enjoy, and you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. On the road to 25k, I hope sometime soon, by the end of the year, that would be class. So if you are new, please make sure to hit those buttons as we dive into the world of transfer speculation and Celtic Football Club. As I said, the Western Front was very quiet. It was a bit empty over the past week, but now today, Celtic apparently ready to make a third bid for Charlton's Alfie Doughty. Now, you may be familiar with Alfie Doughty, you may not be. He was an English Championship player last year, relegated with Charlton, now finds himself in the third tier of English football in League One, and one of Charlton's highest rated players, someone who's had a decent write-up. Celtic are looking at to kind of strengthen that left-hand side of the park now that Bolingoli has left, and this has came out to be one of the main options. Now, for a couple of weeks, you may or may not have heard, Celtic have been making bids. They've been trying to get Alfie Doughty for quite a low price, let's be honest. I'm not going to kind of butter it up for you here. It was a really low price. It wouldn't really... The value that we're talking here doesn't really make him look a good player. You know, you think... I think the original bid was something like 300, 400 grand. You think that, you're like, can't be that good. We're not spending millions on him, but he is in the last year of his Charlton deal, and Celtic are trying their best to exploit that, trying their best to get a deal that works out for both parties. You know, it saves Charlton losing out a player at the end of the season, making no money at all, but it also means that Celtic pick him up for a fee that, you know, is pretty much a bargain, and it makes it a win-win situation. You know, if he came up for 500 grand, then, you know, it's not going to be a bad thing if he turns out to be a garbage player, because we've not lost that much money in the grand scheme of things. But the first couple of bids were rejected from Charlton. Lee Boyer came out and said, no, it's not happening. I'm not wanting to let him go this year. We'll try and get a new deal sorted. But Celtic have upped it to 800 grand, and it looks as though Alfie Doughty is keen on the move, because there has been no signs of a new contract for him at Charlton. A bit about the player himself before I go any further, because I'm going to take the assumption the majority of people who have clicked on this video know absolutely nothing about him. I knew nothing about him. I don't watch English Championship football. I don't even bother keeping up with it that much. But he is someone who plays primarily on the left-hand side of the park. Last season, main kind of position was a left mid. He can play at that left wing back role though, and I'm going to take the wild assumption that Celtic are going to use that as his main position if he comes in. We know fine well we need depth in that area. All we've got now is Greg Taylor. We've been playing James Forrest at left wing back. That's how desperate we are for cover in that area. We can't go the whole season playing a right winger at left wing back. Doesn't work. You know, it's fine. He's a good player for us, right? It's fine against teams like Ross County. What we're going to do in the long haul, though, when we've got tough games in Europe, we've got Old Firm derbies, and we've got big games that might decide a lot in the title race, and we're having to play a right winger at left wing back. We need to get a deal done. We need to get a deal done quick. And I'm glad that's why Celtic are making progress with this. Last season in the Championship, he made 38 appearances, scoring 4 goals and making 3 assists. 20 years of age. You've got to keep that in mind here. That's a massive factor in all of this. It's another reason why such a low fee doesn't really come back to bite us, because he's got a long road ahead of him. We've got a lot of development, I would imagine. But inside 38 appearances in the Championship last season, he played 17 times at left mid and 8 times from left back. So it's good to see he's expendable. You know, he's a little bit up to speed with what it is to change up in positions. You've seen Johnny Hayes. He came to Celtic as a left midfielder, got converted to a left back. And granted, it's probably not how Johnny Hayes wanted his career to go, but he was able to do that. It was fine to chop and change. And that is what we need, another one of those guys. And I'm not saying it's like just throw him in whenever we need him, wherever we need him. Of course, he would rather come in and have his set possession and know what he's doing and probably play in the same place every week. But inside a 5-3-2, the fact he can play those two positions, left mid, left back, he's just playing in the middle of there, sort of, isn't he? So that works out perfectly, I would say, for both. This season he's already made an appearance in League One for Charlton as they start their new domestic campaign. He's scored in that game also. So it's been a decent start for him. This is a player who I would love Celtic to go and get. There aren't too many left backs out there that we've been linked with. There's not too many realistic options either that we're going to be able to get. This is a young boy who's going to come in with experience playing at a good level. You know, the Championship, as much as I don't watch it, as much as I couldn't give a toss, you've got to be honest for a minute and say, you know, Charlton, who are right at the bottom end of the table, remember, they finished 22nd last year. Every single week he was playing against tough opposition. Every team was basically better than his. And to be a regular starter at the age of 20-year-old in that league, you now get linked with moves to teams like Celtic, obviously points in a good direction. I don't know too much about his game and the exact, you know, the specifics of what he's good at, what he's weak at. I couldn't tell you for the life of me. But a 20-year-old Englishman who is making 40 appearances almost in the Championship, there can only be a one-way system there, and that's positive. Of course, Charlton might knock this back. They might just say, no, we don't want 800 grand, he is massive for us. He's a big part of our plans to try and get promoted back into the Championship. We're just going to see out the contract, and maybe we'll get him on a pre-contract in January and we'll see him arrive next season. But we need depth now, and 800 grand is a decent fee. I would be happy with that. If Celtic make that one of the final signings of the summer, along with other areas that we would like to improve on, I'm not going to say need, like to improve on, then I'd be really pleased with it. I think this is a must-make signing. And if it's not him, we've got to get our act together. We've got to move on quickly and find another option, because we need someone in that area. I like Greg Taylor. We know Forrest can play there. We've seen it now. But they're not going to be two players who can just be there all season for us there, because Taylor's, you know, fitness injuries, stuff like that, comes into play. Forrest, right winger. We can't rely on those two and those two only. We need someone else. I think Doughty is the right way to go. Second story of the video then, and it's one we're going to fly by, and it's one I just want to rubbish straight away on the channel in case people start to get their hopes up when they pass the rumours on social media. Ben Davies, not the Tottenham Ben Davies. Before anybody's like, jeez, I can rubbish that myself. Ben Davies of Preston North End. And there's been talk that Celtic want to go for him, perhaps make him an option to come in as a fullback. It's never going to happen. Straight away, just want to get it off my chest. Just get your hopes right down to rock bottom. Not going to happen. There has been talk of Celtic looking in, along with the likes of Bournemouth in the Championship as well. Preston have set their asking price at £10 million. Celtic are not going to pay a record transfer fee for a Championship left back. Not going to happen, especially with the money we've already spent this summer. You know, we've spent a decent fee. We've spent, you know, $5 million in the keeper, $5 million in the Yeti. We've brought in Shane Duffy, who I can only imagine is getting a considerable amount of money on a wage as part of the loan deal. We've made other signings. We've brought in El Yunusi again on loan. Probably money is going to. There's no chance we're going to spend £10 million. If we're looking at one at 800 grand, why would it suddenly jump to £10 million? Not going to happen. Just get those thoughts away. And if you pass anything on social media, it's not going to. I mean, Ben Davies would be a good player. He is a solid player. Another man who made about 38 appearances in the Championship last season. But £10 million. Bournemouth have had a bid of £5 million rejected already. Celtic are interested. I imagine the interest will be null and voided after hearing the news that Preston want £10 million. I believe Alec Neil's still the manager down there with Scott Sinclair with him. I mean, we could cut a deal. You know, we gave you Sinclair. Let's bring it down a wee bit. Let's be realistic. If you see it, don't believe it. We're not going to bring in Ben Davies. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about in this Celtic transfer talk video is the lack of right wing depth. Of course, we're talking about the need for improvement over on that left-hand side, especially moving back on the park. But a lot of people this season have voiced their concern towards the depth in the right wing. James Forrest being the only real good option we've got, and even at that, people fed up with his inconsistency. We know the drill with James Forrest. We hear it every single year. He has fans, he has people who are not too keen on him. It's just simple as that. And it's been the same throughout his whole career. But there is definitely a need to sign people on that right-hand side. We've seen Marian Shved leave the club. And now there's kind of a situation where, does it come to the point where Forrest is once again who we rely on every week? Yes, if we're playing a 5-3-2, you've got Frimpong and Forrest who can play those roles. But moving up the park, we need a wee bit more flair, a wee bit more entertainment, you could say. Something to get goals out of. And yes, Frimpong and Forrest do supply goals, but if any of them pick up an injury, we're down to bare bones. So I would like Celtic to sign a right winger, and it doesn't look as though we're going to stop yet. There are talks, or there are rumours floating about that we are on the move for someone but there's not exactly a great amount of detail as to how close or how, you know, far those talks are, and if they're even legitimate. They might all just be paper talk. First of all, Newcastle have told Christian Atsu he's free to leave the club. They don't want him anymore. He's off, and Celtic have been linked with him from the start of the transfer window. Christian Atsu, a player who can play both left and right wing, but someone who I feel is a more unrealistic option, and definitely an option I don't think is going to please fans that much. Christian Atsu's had a very kind of weird career. Started off big, had a lot of potential in it ahead of him, and now he's been in that situation at Newcastle where he's been nothing short of a bit part player. Would Celtic fans be happy with the signing of Christian Atsu? I honestly don't think so. Even though he's coming from the Premier League, he's playing for a club like Newcastle, I don't think it's the signing Celtic fans want to see. So I don't know if that will have any form of legitimacy if anything goes further. You know, we've seen the start of the window, Christian Atsu linked to Celtic, you know, talks here, talks there, and nothing really came from it. Now he's been told to leave the club. I'm sure the rumours will pick up over the next couple of weeks. Personally, I wouldn't mind it, but you've got to take into consideration stuff like transfer fee and wages, especially wages. He's playing for a club like Newcastle in the Premier League. It's not going to be easy, I would imagine, to bring him in for a fee that he probably thinks is fine. So there's talk of him. And the one that I'm really interested in, and the one that I want Celtic to bring in if they can, is a man who's also in the last year of his deal at his club QPR, and that is, let me just get it right, Osayi Samuel, who I would love to bring in. He looks like a cracking wee player. QPR, a team last season who, under Mark Warburton, were actually very entertaining to watch at times. Of course, you know myself, big fan of Abiezi, now off to Crystal Palace, but another young winger that they had in their team was Osayi Samuel. I can't even, what, I'm Russian. Osayi Samuel. I don't know where I got Sambo for there. But last season he played 40 times, and he's at a young age as well, 22 years old. 40 times he played last season, scoring 6 goals and getting 9 assists. And that is 32 appearances from the right wing. Now, QPR, another club in the Championship who are nothing special. A lot of the teams are better than them. They were fighting in the mid-table positions for the vast majority of the season. I think someone who's in the last year of his contract, who's proved himself at a good level in that league, would be a fantastic addition to the Celtic team. Because ultimately, we're not really looking now at Celtic as a team that needs first team improvement. It's purely depth we need. And Osayi Samuel and Alfie Doughty are 2 players who I think would be tremendous additions to the depth in our squad. So if we can make anything happen and get these guys in a cheap fee, I would really be happy with that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That does it for today's video. Rambling as usual. I'm not a transfer expert myself. I'm just a fat Wayne that sits behind a camera. I say Wayne, I'm 20. But, you know, the usual comments always pour through. If you have enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It is all much appreciated. And I'll see you all next time.